Shalom. This week's Sedra is Pinchas. We have a chazan who prays for those who cannot, a person who reads the Megillah for us, and some of us have someone who lights candles for us. There are times, though, where someone can't do the mitzvah for us. We must perform the mitzvah ourselves, like reciting Modim during the chazan's repetition of Shemon Esrei, or reciting the Shema, hearing the shofar blast. While there are many times that Jewish practice relies on appointing a representative, and that's ideal, there are also cases where a person is required to participate themselves, and a representative simply won't suffice. In our Sedra, we find a pasuk that speaks to the need for the Jewish people to do things themselves. The very last verse in our Sedra states, Moshe spoke to the Jewish people just as the Lord had commanded Moshe. In his commentary to this verse, which doesn't seem so special, the verse, Ramban wrote, according to the verse's literal meaning, the Torah comes to state that even though the preceding section, which was about Korbanos, sacrificial law, which is the responsibility of the Kohanim, Moshe did not direct it specifically to Aaron and his sons, as is common in many of the sections of the book of Vayikra that discusses sacrifices. Rather, Moshe said to all the Jewish people together, according to everything that Hashem had commanded Moshe, both regarding the laws of abstaining from labor on the festivals, which is relevant to all the Jewish people, and regarding the daily burnt offerings and the additional special occasion offerings and vows and free will offerings, which are only relevant to the Kohanim. For this is what has been said to him by God, command the entire Jewish people. The Ramban continued and wrote, the reason the Jews needed to be informed of the law of sacrifices, which again is only carried out by Aaron, is because the commandment to bring the offering mentioned here was to become applicable only after the Jewish people's arrival in the land of Israel. Right now they're in the desert. And our verse is a warning to all of Israel that they are to watch over the daily burnt offerings and the additional offerings in their appropriate time. And also that they, the Jewish people, should offer the vows and free will offerings that they pledge. Another reason the Ramban says that the Jews needed to be informed of the law of sacrifices is because the main idea of the mitzvah of festivals is that the days discussed here should be remembered and celebrated, that one is to rest on those days from work, a mitzvah that applies not just to Kohanim but to all the Jews. Commenting on the idea that the Jews couldn't simply rely on the Kohanim to offer the sacrifices, but they had to be present as well, the Rambam wrote, it's impossible for the sacrifice of a person to be offered without him standing in attendance. The communal offerings are the sacrifices of the entire Jewish people, but it is impossible for the entire Jewish people to stand in the temple courtyard at the time that they're being offered. What was the solution? Therefore, the prophets of the first era ordained that there be selective, upright, and sin-fearing Jews who should serve as the agents of the entire Jewish people to stand and observe the offering of the sacrifices. Just as I said earlier, there are mitzvos where it is enough for a Jew to appoint a representative to perform the mitzvah, and others where a person must be there in person, present in person. When it comes to the korbanos, to the offerings, a happy medium is found. While all the Jews can't be there, they also can't be absent from the offering. Representatives are chosen so that the Jewish people are representative. The lesson here is clear. When it comes to our service of God, the Jewish people must participate. Personal participation in mitzvos is an outgrowth of passion. Observing the mitzvah of the Torah requires passion, and therefore personal participation is necessary. What an amazing lesson. I hope you take it to heart. Shabbat Shalom.